So you're thinking of relocating to Phoenix or somewhere in the Phoenix area, but you're not sure exactly what to do first. And you're looking for a step-by-step guide to make sure you do it the correct way and you miss no steps or any information about the area to make sure it's done right. Well, you would not be alone, and this is exactly what this video is going to deliver for you. So whether you're looking to relocate to Phoenix or maybe an East Valley city like Gilbert or a West Valley city like Surprise, either way, we're going to break this down for you so you're fully informed and there are no surprises when you actually decide to maybe make the move. So in this video, we're going to cover several topics, main topics that you just have to know. You have to know if you're looking to make the move and live here in Phoenix, but stay till the end because I'm going to give you some free resources and a guide that you can take with you to make sure you have this information long after you're done watching this video. Now, there are a lot of reasons why people are making the move to Phoenix, but the number one reason right now is going to be cost of living and quality of life. Whoa, you're telling me, Kelly, people are moving to Phoenix because of cost of living and it's cheap to live here? Well, relatively speaking, to the majority of people who are actually making the move to Phoenix, yeah. You see, people from all over the country are making the move actually to Phoenix, but the majority of those people, and trust me, we track this on a weekly basis, are coming from states that already have a higher cost of living. So it's relatively cheap to make the move into Phoenix. So cities in California, like the Bay Area, the Los Angeles area, San Diego, then of course as you go up the coast, Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington are all big metroplexes where people are leaving to move to Phoenix. And don't forget those Midwest cities like Minneapolis, Minnesota, or Chicago, Illinois. In fact, Chicago, Illinois has the most people that are migrating from the Midwest down into the Phoenix area. But the most recent trend that we're seeing the most of are people from New York City. That's right, guys, people from New York City and around those areas in the state of New York, we are seeing more and more of them coming cross country down to Phoenix. Once upon a time, they used to go down to Florida, and they still do move down and migrate to Florida, but because of natural disasters, high cost of insurance, and things like that, did I mention bugs too as well, and humidity? Oh wait, that's right, Phoenix, we don't have those. So now they're saying, even though I can't stay in my same time zone and get warm weather, I'm gonna jump 2 or 3 time zones across the country and I'm gonna make the move to Phoenix, and it's a lot cheaper than New York. Oh, and sidebar bonus, real quick, I did mention 2 or 3 time zones. It's not because I don't know, it's because, well, the state of Arizona does not recognize daylight savings times. So if you didn't know that, now you know. And so part of the year, we are in the Mountain Standard Time Zone, which is the winter time of the year. And the other half of the year, the summer time of the year, we are in the Pacific Standard Time Zone. So it's kind of cool because we don't have to mess with the clocks and change them back and forth, if that even is still a thing, right? With iPhones and all that, I don't know. But I digress. And again, people are coming because of the cost of living and the overall quality of life. I know it's not perfect in Phoenix, but most cities aren't perfect. But when it comes to days of sunshine, well over 300 days of sunshine every year, Phoenix checks that box. When it comes to an active outdoor lifestyle, Phoenix, yep, it checks that box. When it comes to a major city, the 5th largest city in the country, and a lot of things to do, yep, it checks that box as well. So there are plenty of other pros, and there are plenty of cons as well that we'll hit on in just a bit. But those 3 big things are the reason why people are making the move down to Phoenix for a cheaper cost of living. So speaking of that cost of living, well, the biggest thing that has increased that cost of living over the past 10 to 20 years is going to be the cost of, you guessed it, housing. So what does that give you if you're going to be looking in the Phoenix area? Well, it's going to wildly differ based upon East Valley to West Valley or somewhere in Phoenix or on the outlying areas of the Phoenix area. So we're going to dive in right now and I'm going to show you just a snapshot, just this tidbit of some of those housing costs and what you get for bang for your buck versus living in certain areas around Phoenix. Let's go to the map. So now we're on the map here. We're gonna go over just a few places here in the Phoenix area. You can see the map, and this is Chandler right here. So there are 529 homes for sale in Chandler, and they're scattered throughout the entire area. So let's just say we want to look up to $1 million. Okay, and let's go 750. All right. Now there are 87 homes for sale. And so if we look at just a couple of these, you get a feel for what that's like. So here's one for $759 with a nice pool and spa, and it's 3,600 square feet. Okay, so you have one there. If we go to a higher price point, here's one that has a different area, different look to it, right? Not a track home with brown. And you have Chandler for smaller home, 2,021 square feet, but you have a larger lot at 18,000 square feet, almost a half acre. And it is a nice home built in 1996. So you do have some water in Chandler around the Ocotillo area, especially, and this is in the Ocotillo area. This is a 3,176 square foot home for $950, 4-bedroom, 2-bath. You can see a couple photos here. We'll just look at really fast. It's a 2-story property, and so this one here obviously has been semi-updated over the years. But you get a feel for Chandler. Now, what if we now go from there and we bump up to the Northeast Valley and we do Scottsdale? Okay, what does Scottsdale look like for $750,000 to $1 million for single-family homes? Well, you have 230. And they're scattered all over the place right there, from South Scottsdale to Central Scottsdale to North Scottsdale. So we look at these, let's just see what we got going on between there. Here's one down this is in Central Scottsdale, okay, or actually South Scottsdale. This is $775, and you kind of see what you get for that. This one's been remodeled. You have some nice grass in the backyard, so that is definitely an option. But you're gonna be a lot smaller. It's gonna be $1,847 on your square footage for $775. You come down to something a little more expensive. I don't know, let's go here. $825. Okay, this is going to be in South Scottsdale as well for 2,273 square feet. Okay, let's find one that's a little more in North Scottsdale. Let's go give you guys some different vantage points here. This one's in North Scottsdale. This is up in Troon, I believe. Oh, this is even further. This is Legend Trail. Okay, this is way in North Scottsdale, but you see for about 2,000 square feet, but you're getting a lot of amenities and you're getting a community with this in Legend Trail as well. But this is a tract home. Gives you a good idea, whereas the HOA dues are $345 a quarter, okay? So it gives you a good idea for that for almost 2,000 square feet. So it varies tremendously, and I wish I had time to go through a lot of different areas and places, but it's just too much to actually do. But let's go over here and let's go into Surprise in the north west corner of the valley for $750 to $1,000. Let's see what we get. Well, you can see it's scattered all over the place there. There's 51 properties for sale currently on the market. So let's go right here. Look at this property here. So for $775, you get almost 2,800 square feet. Home was built in brand new home, 2026 by Nexstar Homes. And you get a 3-car garage. I mean, you just get a lot more bang for a buck. Oh, and I'm sorry, an acre lot. That is extremely valuable. So you have that. Here's a 2-story property in Surprise. Tract home, 2,800 square feet in Rancho Mercado. Okay, and this is a 5-car garage because you have an RV garage. So you have RV garage built into the house. There are some neighborhoods and some houses that do actually provide that as a tract home. This one's only $91 a month on the HOA. Let's go a little more expensive in Surprise. Let's go with this guy right here in Eagles Crest. Okay, you have a little water behind you. This is Sun City Grand. Okay, so this right here is going to be an age-restricted property. Okay, 55 plus, 6 days on market. Big home. Okay, 2,800 square feet or bigger, I guess, for that 55 plus for $989. But you're paying for that lot disposition behind you because that looks pretty beautiful. So you get a good idea for that. Now let's skip around and let's go down to the south west valley. Let's go Goodyear. How about that? See what you get in Goodyear in that same price point. And again, there are homes offered for less than this, but we just chose a price point here, and you can kind of see what you get. So here's an Australia Mount Ranch, which is incredible, by the way, and you get 3,800 square feet for $765, built in 2004. Okay, beautiful home, a lot more bang for your buck down in Goodyear. Here's a nice home that's been fully remodeled, built in 2007 on a 10,000 square foot lot in Palm Valley, which is a very nice community. Okay, and you get 2,800 square feet for $3.5 for $889. And this one is gonna be a little more expensive because you have a lot more that comes with this HOA. Okay, so you have $230 a month in this one. So anyways, guys, it just depends on what you're looking for, but we would love to give you a good idea of what that looks like for the area you might want to be in, based on a lot of things we're going to talk about later on in this video in just a few minutes. Now, as you saw, I just did a tidbit of the overall snapshot of the housing market and what you get. But if you have a certain area that you're kind of thinking, or maybe I didn't cover the area on that map right there, comment below your top 3 areas you would like to possibly live in, you think and your budget, and I'll send you the information on all the houses for that specific area. Comment below. So now let's talk about some of the areas across the Phoenix Valley that actually are good for certain types of lifestyles. We're going to hit the different lifestyles, including young professionals, families, luxury buyers, retirees, and of course, college students. Y'all have to live somewhere too. So let's start with college students. Now, it's going to be ASU that's going to be predominantly for this, but there are other universities across the area. You have Arizona State, which is one of the largest institutions in the entire United States of America. That's located right there in Tempe as their main flagship campus. So you have a ton of college students living in that North Tempe area, but you also have student housing in other areas where there are other universities. So if you go to the West Valley, you have Grand Canyon University, which is another large university, and their campus is self-contained right there, and a lot of student housing in and around that area. Now, there are some other small universities as well as community colleges around the Phoenix area. We're not going to hit on those because a lot of that housing is scattered around those areas. So let's go to the next one. Let's jump from college-age students to young professionals. Now, a lot of young professionals are going to love living in Tempe as well. Around that North Tempe area, you're going to have college students and a mix of young professionals. But just a little further north of Tempe, you have Old Town Scottsdale, and that will be the #1 spot for a young professional to live. And right next to Old Town Scottsdale, you're going to have the South Scottsdale area. That would be a second best area for young professionals to live. See, young professionals typically want to be in the nucleus, in the mix of all the entertainment and the action of what's going on. And so another great spot for young professionals is going to be downtown Phoenix. See, downtown Phoenix has come up a lot over the past 2 decades, from being kind of sleepy and a ghost town after all the businesses closed down for the day, to a more vibrant area with vertical living condos that are semi-affordable for a young professional to live in, so you have the walkability of all the bars and restaurants nearby. Then after downtown, I would go to the uptown, midtown areas of Phoenix, north of the I-10, in that central corridor area. You're gonna have a lot of young professionals living in there as well, especially in the historic districts and the townhomes and the condos as well. Now that's going to be the lion's share where most young professionals are going to want to be concentrated and centered and focused to find a place to live. Now let's go to the next one, which is going to be a family with maybe a small kids or a little bit older kids, but a family with some type of kids. For those families, there are a ton of great places scattered all throughout the Phoenix area. And again, it's going to depend on your budget, but a great place is going to be in the East Valley, Gilbert, ton of families, Chandler, a lot of families, Central Scottsdale, a lot of families, North Central Phoenix to North Phoenix, a ton of families. And of course, moving over to the west, the whole Peoria, Surprise, and even North Glendale areas, a ton of families, and a great place to raise a family. And if you're a family that's maybe a starter family, maybe you just got married, you're buying your first home, maybe you have one small kid or no kids yet, and you're on a budget because that's how most young families are, but you want to get that home, you want to have that American dream, you want to have your own space, your own yard, then the outskirts of the Phoenix area are going to be great places for you to get in the game and have that starter home. Places like Queen Creek, Santan Valley, Buckeye in the West Valley, Goodyear in the West Valley. These places are phenomenal for first-time home buyers that are on a budget. If you want to even go further out to have a cheaper home, but newer stuff that has big employment centers coming that way, you're looking at Florence and Coolidge, Casa Grande, and the town of Maricopa. Those are places to all consider if you're looking to start a family or have a small family, a younger family on a budget. Now let's move to families that maybe have older kids, or maybe the kids have already left, or maybe you don't have any kids, but you are a luxury home buyer. Well, your #1 place is going to be Paradise Valley. 85253 zip code has the highest and most expensive real estate in the entire Phoenix area. After that, you want to go to North Scottsdale. Then North Scottsdale, along McDowell Mountains, as you come down North Scottsdale, you have another subdivision, a community that is one of the most premier places in the United States, let alone the state of Arizona, and that is going to be Silverleaf. Some really expensive real estate up there where the average home seems to be over 8 figures high. But overall, that North Scottsdale area is going to have a lot of luxury homes and communities to choose from. And then of course, over to the east of Scottsdale, you have Fountain Hills. A lot of luxury home buyers like to be in Fountain Hills for its quaintness, its quietness, but still its luxury vibe and feel, and your privacy. And we're bouncing around a little bit, but a couple more places for luxury home buyers to definitely consider would also be Cave Creek and Carefree up north of North Scottsdale. And then even down the East Valley, the Ocotillo area of Chandler is going to be a place you got to check out too if you're a luxury home buyer. Now, if you're a retiree, there are a ton of great options. And I'll start off by saying my favorite is probably going to be Wickenburg Ranch out in Wickenburg, Arizona, which is on the northwest section on the outskirts of the valley. But you also have some great ones like Sun City Festival up in the Northwest Valley as well. And then of course, Sun City West and the OG, the original Sun City, which is going to be a little bit older, a little bit cheaper. And if you're okay with a ton of golf carts, more golf carts than cars, then Sun City is going to be a great place for you as well. But don't forget about the East Valley has some great retirement communities as well. None bigger than Sun Lakes. It is a beautiful, large retirement community. Now, another one I want to mention here, and there's other ones I haven't mentioned as well because there's a lot, but another one that's noteworthy, I believe, is going to be Trilogy at Verde River. Now, this is up in Scottsdale, and it's not just 55 plus, but a lot of people who are 55 and older have migrated and are attracted to this community because it's beautiful, a lot of amenities and just gorgeous lifestyle. So if you're a retiree, there are no shortage of options. I have a couple videos on retirees living in Phoenix. Check those out on our channel where we go way more in depth on those retirement communities. By the way, hit that like button if you're thinking about possibly making a move down to the Phoenix area over the next 6 to 12 months. And if you don't mind, subscribe as well to our channel. Now that we talked about the prices and what you get for homes around certain parts of the valley and the lifestyle certain areas of the valley will give you, let's talk about the style, the design of certain types of homes that you will still see across the Phoenix area. Now, I'll tell you right now, what surprises most out-of-state buyers when they come to Phoenix is going to be the brown. Yeah, I know, brown, well, tan, brown, beige, it's everywhere. We call them earth tone colors because you know what, that just sounds better. And I guess it does match the tone of the earth, the brownness in the desert. And you got that everywhere down here in Phoenix. See, number one, you have it in the landscaping because the natural desert, yeah, it's brown. Now there are some greenery, some natural greenery in the desert. You have Palo Verde trees. You have cacti and saguaro, and they are green, and other trees as well, which are beautiful and they take very little water and they thrive in the desert and does give you some color, but you're gonna have a lot of brown. And with the housing, you're gonna have a lot of brown too. Why? Because a lot of Phoenix being a newer city compared to Midwest and East Coast cities built hundreds of years ago and developed hundreds of years ago, Phoenix, well, if it's old here, it's built in the 70s. And because of that, because so much of the construction is newer, you have a lot of homeowners associations, HOAs. They regulate and they have rules for your community. And one of those rules is going to be the color of the houses. They only offer so many different colors of the houses and it looks a little boring sometimes, I gotta admit. And floor plans, well, there's only gonna be so many of those as well because that's how they make their efficiency and their profit margin when these big developers and builders come in to build out a certain community. So in a tract style community, you're gonna have a lot of the same colors, you're gonna have a lot of the same designs. Now overall, you'll have multiple different elevations of the front and the curb appeal of the houses, so it won't look like everything's exactly the same, but the color scheme will be approximately the same for a lot of different communities. But don't you worry because there are plenty of options that don't have that as well. Not everything in Phoenix is like that. So if anyone tells you that, they are lying to you. I will show you a house that you want. If you don't want to live in a cookie cutter community, I have that for you. No problem at all. So it just depends on what you're looking for. Do you want that rules and regulations? Do you want everything to be clean and crisp? Or you find walking a trip on the wild side a little bit, you know, where most homes don't look like each other at all, but you might have the one rogue person that has their car parked in the front yard. And that's not cool either. But to strike that chord of the best of both worlds, hopefully you can find an area town where the real estate's a little more expensive than the average, assuming your budget allows for it. But there's no HOA. That way you have the uniqueness, the customization of all the homes and the communities being different. At the same time, the people, because they're paying a little more for their real estate, they don't treat it poorly. They take care of it, even though there's no rules saying they have to. And you get the best of both worlds. That's striking the chord if, again, your budget allows for it. Another thing that you'll notice definitely coming from out of state that most people actually love is that a lot of the homes, the majority of the homes in Phoenix are single story. That's right, you don't have a ton of two-story homes in comparison to the single story homes, which for most people, they love that because of the privacy and because they just don't like going up the stairs. Now, coming from the Midwest like myself and most of you or East Coast, Two-home stories, well, it's a rite of passage. You have to have a two-story home. People love them. But in Phoenix, not so much. In fact, you will pay more for a single-story home as well. So quick pro tip, when an appraiser values a home, they don't use a two-story home compared to a single-story home, because that single-story home that's around the same square footage in the same neighborhood could actually sell for $30, $40 more a square foot in some cases. So it is much more valuable to have a single-story home. But again, a two-story home gives you more square footage and for a cheaper price overall, which is always nice as well. So it just depends on what you're looking for. Storage. Storage is going to be a little bit of a problem sometimes living in the desert. Why? Because we don't have very many homes with basements. Now, if you have a pitched roof, that is good because you'll have an access to an attic, and hopefully you can build that out to where you can get up there and store a lot of things like Christmas and holiday decorations. That's a great place for that. But your average daily use of things that you might want to use here and there, storage, it comes at a premium. So if you can get a 3-car garage, I would highly recommend it because it's well worth it. Now let's pivot real quick to cost of living. Now we touched on this earlier on in this video, and we talked about the cost of housing. So we nailed a lot of this already, but things that you need to be aware of when you come down here are going to be taxes. Guys, taxes in Arizona, by the way, are amazing. They're so phenomenally cheap compared to most places across the country. In fact, Phoenix ranks as the 13th best state in the country for property taxes, or the lowest property taxes. So you're going to notice coming from certain states that it is a third, a fourth, a fifth, or more less cheaper on your monthly or yearly property tax bill when you come to Phoenix and buy a house. And the great thing is they're paid in arrears twice a year. So you always will get caught up when paying your bill for your property taxes. Now, if you have a mortgage, they'll probably be impounded in part of your monthly mortgage payment, and therefore your lender, they'll handle all of that no problem. But your low property tax payment will allow you to afford more of a house and therefore get into a bigger property that probably is in a better neighborhood than maybe where you came from. It just depends. Oh, and that factor for property taxes is going to be somewhere around the ballpark of 0.0058 times your purchase price. So keep that in mind. It's not an exact science, but it's going to be around that factor. Now let's pivot over to income tax. The state income tax is only 2.5% flat. That's right, it does not go up the more money you make. So if you want to work hard and make more money, you still pay 2.5% regardless, which is an amazing thing to have. This went into effect a couple years ago in the state of Arizona, and in fact, Arizona now has the lowest income state tax rate for a state in the country that actually charges income tax. Obviously, there's some states out there that charge 0, which you can't beat that. But for one that does, Phoenix is numero uno. So that is good, keeping more money in your pocket. Now let's pivot to sales tax. Arizona currently has a sales tax rate of 5.6%, but that's not it. It actually includes with that sales tax rate a city and county tax, so it is going to be more than 5.6% when you swipe that card. So it depends on the city you are purchasing the goods in. For example, Scottsdale currently, total combined is going to be 8.0%. Phoenix, total combined is going to be 9.1%. And the list goes on and on and on for other suburbs. So it's going to be somewhere between 8 and 9.5% for sales tax when you purchase something in the state of Arizona. Oh, and by the way, when you purchase that car, that's a big one, right? So you may want to think about going to a dealership in a suburb city that has a lower tax rate. For example, Scottsdale at 8% compared to Phoenix at 9.1%. I'd rather buy my car at Scottsdale. Oh, and one more pro tip. I'm not sure if it's like this in other states, but in Arizona, if you buy a car from a buy owner, from an individual and not through a dealership, guess how much sales tax you pay? 0%. So if you can find the car that you really want from an owner, like on, eBay or kellybluebook.com or wherever, CarMax, that's probably what you should consider doing because you can save a lot of money based upon the price point of your car. Oh, and another thing I'll cover are food items, groceries, eating out. You're gonna be right about the national average for that in Phoenix. So if the national average for most cities are blended at a score of 100, Phoenix is gonna be right there around 100 for all those things. And the last thing I'll cover is healthcare. Healthcare is gonna be below the national average. I think last time I saw, healthcare is gonna be at about 94 on a scale of 100 being the average cost of healthcare for the US American city averaged and blended across America. So it has really good healthcare in Phoenix. The Mayo Clinic is right in Scottsdale and in North Phoenix, so you can't beat that, obviously. Plus you have the Banner Health System, the Dignity Healthcare System. So there's a lot of good stuff happening in the Phoenix area for healthcare, and the cost is a little bit less than the national average. Now let's pivot to jobs. This is probably the most exciting thing happening for Phoenix, guys, because as big companies move their headquarters or divisions of their company to the Phoenix area, which by the way, last time I checked, there's over 250 applications waiting with the GPEC, which is the Economic Council in Phoenix, for potentially approving them coming to the Phoenix area. There are companies galore making the move to Phoenix, which we never had over the last decade or two or before then. When I first moved to Phoenix in 2004, there was one Fortune 500 company headquartered in the entire state of Arizona, and corporate jobs and big industry jobs just didn't exist in Phoenix. It was primarily a service-based industry economy based on tourism and the housing market. And when the housing market crashed in 2007 and 8, it was rough. I was selling real estate at the time, and it was rough, guys. We're talking 96 and 97% of all homes being sold were in distress form of either being a foreclosed property or a short sale. So it was really rough back then, but now with the diversity in the economy that Phoenix now has, with big industry coming down to Phoenix, primarily being led the charge is the semiconductor chip manufacturing industry with the Intel headquarters in Chandler and the TSMC mega plant, $160 billion investment going into North Phoenix for making chips with TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. This is on fire for the local economy. All the other suppliers coming to supply and support TSMC in that new big plant, like Amcor Technologies, and there's so many more, is incredible. So you have so much going on in the technology industry in Phoenix right now, and the healthcare industry, and the data warehousing industry. The financial industry and the construction industry is booming because of all the development. We have a housing shortage in Phoenix. Currently today, we have about 23,000 homes on the market. So that's good supply. We're talking 4 months of supply on the market, which is pretty darn good. But mid to long term, we have a large undersupply of homes in Phoenix. We're talking by the year 2030, it could be pretty bad if the current population migration keeps up and the jobs keep pouring into Phoenix. So as long as we keep building in Phoenix, no matter what the economic cycle is, we'll be just fine. There is land to be bought. There are plenty of builders right here in Phoenix to buy big parcels, develop them, and build. They're doing them right now as we speak, but we gotta keep building homes because Phoenix is gonna be on fire in the next 5 to 10 years, especially. Now, well, okay, let's pivot to weather. I really didn't want to do it, but you gotta bring it up. And guys, you know it's hot here in the summertime. There's nothing to be said, but I do like to say that Phoenix has 2 seasons, not 4. Okay, but in the one season, yeah, it kind of sucks. We call it hot. And that is the season between June and September. But the other 8 months is our other season. And I know we don't have 4, but the one season of 8 months is called pure awesomeness. That's right. Look it up on Google, on AI. It's there, I promise. Kelly Cook said so, pure awesomeness. And so you can't beat the 8 months of pure awesomeness season in Phoenix. And I'm cool with that, not having the snow and the shoulder seasons, because pure awesomeness is just that. But there is that season of hot. In those 4 months, it is hot. And so a lot of people will escape to be out of state, up in the Midwest or East Coast, get out of town for a vacation for a little bit, or they'll go up 2 hours to Flagstaff, where it's just like being in Colorado. You're at an elevation plus 7,000 feet above sea level, and the temperature is 35 degrees less than what it is currently in the valley. So if it's a 110 currently on a hot day in July, down in Phoenix, you're talking it could be in the high 70s to low 80s in Flagstaff, which is awesome, especially in just a 2-hour drive, plus or minus hour and a half in some cases, depending where you are in the Phoenix area when you take off heading that way. And I'd be remiss not to show you the stats of the recent weather in the hot season. 2024 set a record. 2023 set a record before 24 broke it. But the good news is 2025, it did not continue. 2025 has been a much cooler summer, thank the Lord, because 23 and 24 were pretty rough, having multiple days, over 100 days of temperatures being over 100 degrees straight in the summer time. That's pretty hot. So again, it was welcome to have a break this summer in 2025. Oh, but did I mention that you can have a outdoor lifestyle even when it's the season of hot? Guys, golf, mountain biking, road biking, walking, doing things outside can still get done because you don't have snow like it is January in other places across the country. You just got to do it in the morning time or in the evening time when the sun is down. And it is still very, very doable to get those things done without being too uncomfortable. And the main reason why? Because we don't have humidity. It is amazing. Now, still hot, but no humidity, none of that wet stickiness on your skin. Or women, I've been told the hair frizzes out, and that's not cool, right? You don't want that look. So just kidding. I had no idea. But the dry heat is preferred, apples to apples, over the humidity. Thank you so much for sticking with me on this video. We're almost done, and I have some good stuff to show you here and reveal in just a second here. But if you just want to give me a call, just go ahead and do that. Give me a call, 480-660-5974, or book a time on the calendar link below, and we'll chat about everything Phoenix, and all your questions will be answered. I promise. Now, I mentioned outdoor lifestyle because in summer it can be hot, but the outdoor lifestyle pertains the entire year long, literally 365 days a year. You can be outside enjoying the beautiful desert landscaping. It'll be a lot cooler and nicer in some time of the year, but the other time of the year, it can still be done in the morning or evening time. Now, overall, the lifestyle is casual, kind of more laid back. Not maybe as laid back as some places in the Midwest, but more laid back and casual. So it's not uncommon to conduct a business meeting or an appointment wearing a golf polo and some slacks, as opposed to a suit and tie, which might be more appropriate in, say, New York City or other places across America. And I will say, in Arizona, people love their guns. So if you love to shoot, if you love to go to outdoor ranges, indoor ranges, they're everywhere. And having a gun is like a rite of passage living in Arizona. So if that's something that you enjoy, you will love living in the Phoenix area as well. Now, I have two more things I want to share with you. And the first one's going to be what actually a lot of locals even forget to tell people when coming to Phoenix. And that's going to be what people actually don't really expect, but is here, both bad and good. Let's start with the bad first. You're going to notice a lack of trees. Now, there are a lot of desert trees throughout the Phoenix area, but you just don't have the big bushy trees driving down the interstate like you do in certain parts of the South or the Midwest, whereas there's trees everywhere and it's green and pretty beautiful. It's thick and you can't see through things, that sort of thing. You don't have that here in Arizona. It's wide open spaces. You can see a long ways. There's no thick vegetation. It is the desert. So you'll notice a lot of that. You also notice that things get dusty a lot sooner than other places across America. But the cool thing is, instead of having a car wash because your car gets all the stuff from the snow in wintertime, or even all the junk or the rain that happens in the summertime in most places of the country, in Arizona, you still don't have to wash your car very often if you have one of those like big car dusters. I have a big car duster thing on a handle, and so I'll just wipe it off every once in a while, and it looks like you just got done with the car wash, because outside the dust, the cars just don't get that dirty. And I don't know about you, but I love to keep a clean car. Now, a couple things on the positive side that you'll notice that most people forget to tell you is that there are a ton of trails to go hiking. Trails for hiking, trails for walking, trails around your communities. Most communities have walking paths that you can hop on and just walk through a guided tour around your own community. And if you go outside of that, there are trails everywhere through nature preserves, on state land, and the list goes on and on. So a phenomenal place if you like to walk or run or hike when it comes to outdoor activities. And one more I want to hit on real quick that's very much so a positive are the sunsets. Guys, the sunsets in Phoenix are absolutely stunning. I really believe that song, God Bless America, when it talks about Purple Mountain's majesty, I'm telling you, he had to be looking in Arizona when he was referring to that, because the mountains, when the sun hits it the correct way, certain times of the year, they literally glow with a purple hue on them, and it is absolutely gorgeous. So the sunsets you're gonna find in Arizona are gonna be some of the best ones you're gonna find anywhere in the United States, outside of maybe over the ocean or some water somewhere. All right, so now you made it this far and you're wondering, now what do I do? Step one, Kelly, you mentioned step one, what do I do? I'm glad you asked. We're gonna break it down right now. So when you fly in, or maybe you drive, or however you do it, to Phoenix, Arizona, the first thing I would do is I would honestly, I'm not saying this because I am one, I would get with a local real estate professional who's been doing it for like at least 20 years, hint, hint, and sit down with them in their office before you even go looking at anything, so they can pull up on a big screen TV a map and go over the different areas of the town. You want to be with somebody that knows the area very well and can give you the lay of the land in 20 minutes or less, so that you're like fully informed. Because at the end of the day, guys, Phoenix, it's not that complicated. Phoenix, if you look at the map, is built on a grid system going north-south and east-west for the vast majority of the roads. And so it's really easy to navigate around, and it's really easy to get places and get a feel for what this city or that neighborhood or this area of the valley is really offering and what it's about. So you can figure it out pretty easy. I will never discourage anyone for renting first before they want to buy. That is a personal choice that I think you need to make on your own. But I'll tell you one thing, it's not like most cities where you go to and you really have to get ingrained into the culture and ingrained into the areas to get a feel for everything for 6 to 12 months. I firmly don't believe in Phoenix you need to do that. I think it's very easy to figure out quickly and adapt to and know exactly probably most likely where you want to be based upon your lifestyle. So after I talk to that real estate professional, I'd want to go out probably with them and see a few houses, a few areas, but I really would want to drive around and take a day, maybe 2, and drive around the entire valley and just get a feel for neighborhoods, for maybe areas that the real estate professional gives you as their opinion of what they think you might like the most based on everything they know about you. And then see kind of what it has to offer. And then you want to dive into the school districts if you have kids. That's extremely important because Arizona Phoenix does offer you a ton of options when it comes to public, charter, or private schools. There are no shortage when it comes to that, and it offers open enrollment for the public school system. So even though you might want to live in this neighborhood but send your kid to this school, you can probably do it most likely because of open enrollment. You don't have to go to the school that is your boundary school based on where you live. So that's a pro tip that you really need to be aware of. And then when I'm driving around the neighborhoods, one thing I would definitely do is when I have the areas kind of narrowed down I think I want to be in, I'm going to drive around them at night. Very important to drive around them at night. You definitely want to do that because the neighborhood, the feel of the area could change, especially on a weekend night. That's when you really want to do that. And then I'm going to make sure I know traffic flow. That is very important in a major city. Are you going with the grain or against the grain when it comes to rush hour based upon where you live and based upon where you might be working? Now, your real estate professional should be able to tell you that. In fact, I have a lot of videos on traffic flow alone on some of my map videos on this channel, so check those out as well. But you want to know that that is important because that will drive you nuts if you don't know that and buy a house and figure out you're going to be in rush hour when you really didn't need to be because you liked the house in this area of town and you could have done that as well, but you just weren't informed. Not cool. And then I would say I want to know things like restaurants and food and entertainment. How close am I to that and what is nearby me? And of course, church, a place of worship. If that's important to you, you need to know where that is and what's around there because you probably don't want to be driving a lot to your place of worship an hour one way and back if you don't need to. So those are several steps in a row that I would get done the first weekend, the week I was in town thinking about possibly relocating to Phoenix. But a professional will guide you along the way. And when you go to purchase that house, after all the work they've done for you, leading up to that point where you write an offer on a house, a good real estate professional is typically able to negotiate whatever fee they charge in with the contract in which the seller ends up paying that fee to them. So you don't even have to come out of pocket anything to pay for all that advice and help that you get along the way, figuring out where you're going to relocate to. So me and my team, we would be honored to help you along this journey along the way. We've helped hundreds, literally hundreds, probably close to 1,000 people relocate to Phoenix from outside cities, especially outside states, over our career. So give me a call, 480-660-5974, and check out our 5-star reviews right here if you want to hear from some of those people that we've helped along the way as well. And if you want to see another video of moving to Phoenix with no regrets, then click on the video on the next screen.